All right, guys, it's me, Daniel, with VintageMagic.com. Welcome back. It's been a while. We've done these kind of videos where we do a little coffee time discussion, kind of a Ask Daniel video. I figured I would do espresso. I don't know. Do you guys like espresso? Put in the comments below, what is your favorite brand of espresso? I will tell you that I have a few favorites, but they are generally not necessarily the most expensive kind. I actually was in Bali and they have Indonesian type of coffee. It's called Kopi Luwak. And if you look it up, it's actually the most expensive coffee, I think, in the world. Basically a mongoose type of animal eats the coffee beans and digests it in their belly, and this essentially gives it its really dark flavor and taste, and then they poop it out and they pick them and such, and the process is very long and tedious. But apparently, like in the US, a cup of coffee from Kopi Luwak is like $50–$40 for like a few cups or and such. And if you watch the movie Bucket List with Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman, Jack Nicholson plays the rich guy, and he drinks the Kopi Luwak coffee. Now, it's supposed to help you with stamina and strength and such, but you know, honestly, it tastes really, it doesn't taste very good, honestly. I prefer Illy. Illy is like an Italian brand. It's a little bit pricier, but I also like Starbucks Casio Cielo. It's also a brand too. All right, guys, so today's video is not about coffee, but I just always try to give you guys a little tidbits, you know, when I intro some of the videos. Today's video is about Bitcoin, and I was asked a question, where is Bitcoin going? Where is cryptocurrency going? How is it related to magic? Is it time to buy? Is it time to sell? Okay, so let me drink this real quick. All right, so those of you who know me and we talked to me before, my stance on Bitcoin is this. It's something that was founded to be something. So it was founded to be a currency, a way to basically, you know, maybe take the US dollar, you know, away. It may be just the cryptocurrency market would just be the new US dollar. But that whole phenomenon, as the time has passed, especially now, I think it's dropped almost to like $8,900 as of today's video. So I would say that, and obviously it goes up and down, but the main focus of what it is as a cryptocurrency is falling apart. I'm not saying it's 100% gone because I'm not in the know, but from what I see in the news, there's a lot of regulation that's going on. There's a lot of downside to it now. It used to be a lot of upside where there was potential e-commerce sites that were going to accept it. Banks were possibly going to look into it. It was obviously, now it's been traded on the futures site, the CBO or the CME, you know, futures. You'll have to look at the exact numbers, but basically people were betting against it or with it. So there's different price action, different bets you can essentially make on cryptocurrency. Now, obviously, for those of you who follow it, cryptocurrency has gone up to like as high as like $19,000, almost $20,000 last year, and it's tanked essentially with an $8,900 price point. I think as of January 17, 2018, that actually hit to that point. Who knows? It might go even lower by the end of today. You know, shit. It doesn't matter if in the next 10 minutes it could happen. And that is the problem with cryptocurrency. You know, in order for it to be a currency, something you trade for goods, right? For a pizza, you know, or going to a hotel, you can't have the trading of the goods change so erratically to a point where you're either getting an incredible discount or you're losing your ass. And so the problem with that is that think about when you're buying food and you're buying goods, and I think you're kind of seeing how this is working. If you go off and pay for a pizza, but the price of the Bitcoin goes skyrocket, within minutes when you buy it, you as the person paying for it lose money from the currency. Vice versa, if you buy a pizza and it tanks to like 30% within the minute that you basically bought the pizza, or afterwards, you essentially, the business owner loses 30% or more, because there's transaction fees. So the whole thing is a lose-lose in the long run. It doesn't matter from a long run perspective, because you're not, the business owner doesn't really get the full amount. The person paying may lose on opportunities for it to go up. But what we're seeing now in the market is this kind of like, it used to be like this graph that just, exponentially just skyrocketed. Now for the 2018 graph, it's kind of doing a stepstone downwards. So it's correct, it's sharply going down, going up a little bit, sharply going down, and so on. So this, if you like to read, fundamentals on graphs and stuff like that, this is a very dangerous pattern, because because if you're trading Bitcoin, you can't, it doesn't have the action to, it doesn't have the legs to essentially go back up strong enough so you can have a period to really sell it and, and then keep buying and selling. It just really doesn't have that kind of ability either. And it's definitely not a currency stability, in the sense that you can't actually exchange goods and lose that. I mean, the retailer can't lose that kind of money. So this idea that Amazon or whatever, essentially will assume a Bitcoin, accept the Bitcoin, and then take a 30% hit or whatever is absolutely not going to happen, because of the fact that the volatility, I mean, as a corporation, you can't accept that. It would just be too difficult. Maybe if Amazon created their own currency or something, in the lines of like a gift card or something, that could, not just a gift card, but more of an Amazon currency where it's a stable, when you shop at Amazon, it's still worth this much at Amazon, right? But the problem with that is, again, when you start offering to the public and there's trading and, you're putting futures on it and puts and, options type of thing, you're betting against the market, you're betting on, with the market, it just produces so much volatility regardless. So, I'm not a pro, like I don't buy Bitcoin, I don't accept them for that very reason. I was thinking about accepting it, but the problem was I started seeing, and I saw the trend go up. I saw it right before my eyes, literally from 7,000 to all the way to 19,000. It was like, bam, like that. But the thing is, and then people were saying, well, this could be $100,000 or $1 million a coin, and people just went crazy for it. But at the same time, I think that type of gold rush mentality is not organic. It's not what I call slow and steady wins the race. And everybody has their business, I would say your risk level. And for me, I consider myself a person that is more conservative in many ways. Like I would prefer an actual business or maybe real estate. Yeah, you have other commodities like such as art, for example, that could potentially go up long term. But really this idea of trading back and forth, the day trading effect isn't for me, right? Now, for some of you guys, it is, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, it's not something I enjoy, to be honest. I don't know. Do you guys enjoy the wild roller coaster ride of gaining and losing money? It kind of feels like the roll of a dice in Vegas, and you're just on a streak for Bitcoin, and then now it's just crapping out. And if you play craps, you'll know that when you throw out the come out roll, the very beginning, right? You have to roll 7 or 11 to win, and then you roll a 2, 3, or 12 to basically lose your money. So you basically are favored 8 to 4 or 2 to 1, right? To win even money on the first roll. But what's feeling like with Bitcoin is it's feeling like you're crapping out all the time. Now, I'm not saying that the odds of winning are higher in the scenario that I'm saying, but it feels like the cold streak, the cooler has basically come in. And it's hard to predict if it's going to cool down further, or is it just going to tank all the way down to ice, or is it going to go back up? Who knows? But if I had a gut opinion about Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies, let me just talk about Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin, my outlook on Bitcoin will be, I think it will exist, but I think there's a price stabilization that needs to occur for it to exist. I think it actually needs to exist at a point where there isn't these double-digit changes every single hour, essentially, right? But the altcoins, like basically the other Bitcoin type of things like Ethereum and Litecoin, all the thousands of other ones, right? Ripple, for example. Those Bitcoins actually are kind of, people are assuming that there's opportunity for those to grow. But what really makes one of those coins different than Bitcoin really is partly the technology, I guess. Some of them, are processed faster. Some of them are used in certain industries. But my concern with that still is the fact that they're still traded and there's really no monetary value backed by anything. And that goes with the fundamental aspect that I have with the US dollar versus Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies, is that the US dollar is backed by the US government, which basically prints their own money and protects your bank account. I think the FDIC insured up to $250,000 per account. So there is this kind of backing. Now, for those of you who are anti-US government, you probably argue and say, well, Dan, that's not going to last. Fine, whatever. But the point is there is this backing at this point. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency has no backing. So that's another downside issue, right? So this Ask Daniel video was very intriguing because there was a second part to it, like I mentioned earlier. How does it relate to Magic the Gathering? And how does it relate to the financial aspect? So one of the things I noticed about Magic the Gathering is it's really kind of like that slowest steady wins the race type of thing. I've learned over time that you can't really time collectibles. You have to buy them at a snapshot in time and, let them either appreciate or they might be a little stagnant for a while, but, usually they go up, some percentage points. Some people will argue and be like, well, Dan, you're saying that because you bought a lot of this stuff maybe earlier in the years. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, I'm still bullish on the longer term trend. And I'm not talking like a year. I'm talking like decades right down the road. I think even in the decades, like as we pass away and such, Magic, such as the art or the cards and the boxes, will become even more rare, more special because they become like this ultra collectible enigma. Like that is what started the whole thing, right? Of all gaming collectibles. And imagine if, you're 100 years down the road, or 100 years of Magic. This is the 25th anniversary of Magic. So 75 more years. Where will Magic be, and how will that be as a collectible? Some would argue, hey, Magic's going to die. Players are being lost. Loss of trust with Wizards. But the thing is, I'm referring to the collectability and the long-term stability of old school, eternal Magic type of collectibles. So that's what I'm referring to. But in relationship to Bitcoin, there isn't this, you don't see like a Black Lotus go 50% down just for no reason. And my friend Edwin, the engineer, he has a YouTube channel. I'm sure you guys may have seen him. Really great guy. Mentioned, hey, Dan, you should do a video on this because you talk about this type of topic quite a bit, these type of topics. And so Edwin is the guy who asked me, hey, let's talk about it. So I feel like, he's right. I mean, I've thought about it more. I'm like, yeah, when's the last time you saw Black Lotus go down 50% just the next hour, 10 minutes? Or when's the last time you see Black Lotus go 50% up in the last 10 minutes? You don't see that, right? And I think to some people, that's the rush. That's the thing they want to see, right? They want to see the potential for it to be a roulette table where you hit a number and you get 35 times or 36 times your odds. Or you go to the slot machine and you get 100, you get the big jackpot, right? Or the Powerball. But that's not organic growth. That's not how real wealth is created. I think that's what the fundamental difference is that I feel like, well, I'm not going to put magic in the wealth category like real estate. Like I would say like top tier one type of investments are more of like real estate and dividend high paying stocks like Microsoft or ExxonMobil or stuff that's going to be around forever, like Boeing, you know, and those provide a really good dividend like Johnson & Johnson. If you've had, you know, grandfathers had millions and they've passed it on to your father and you inherited and you pass it to your son, imagine that portfolio just growing to multi-millions over the course of years. It's just by compound interest. Those are more tier one, very conservative, you know, type of plays. You know, you could even go the bond route too, very conservative bonds. But, you know, when you talk about real estate and land and rental markets, I mean, obviously real estate does go down. But if you have positive cash flow, if you're not, you know, betting on a stupid ass loan that should not be occurring anyway, like you can't afford the loan, I think over time as a family legacy thing, you can really build a real estate within the family. So I would say magic isn't quite in comic books and all that kind of stuff, baseball cards. I would say collectibles are really in that super tier one category because it doesn't have the recognition of like through the banks. The banks obviously love it when you have real estate. They love it when you have stocks, and they love it when you have those type of assets, normal equity assets. They don't like Bitcoin. They don't like cryptocurrency. They're wary of it. With magic and like artwork, for example, artwork can be a higher level, you know, like more of a diversification play. But at the same time, you know, banks don't really consider necessarily art as your, you know, or magic cards as an asset against your loan for a house or something or land. So it's, you know, it hasn't got to that point. So it definitely is underneath that commodity play. Some people would argue that gold, you know, other precious metals could be a tier one type of asset, protection against the future. So, you know, I still think though real estate, stocks and bonds, mutual funds, that category, the conservative, you know, ones especially tend to be more the tier one. Magic and, you know, and such is definitely not like the Bitcoin, where, it, you know, Bitcoin I would rank it in the very lowest, to be honest. Maybe not the lowest, but there could be things that are even more lower, like just gambling on your money, right? Or the Powerball. Like that honestly is the lowest form. Like I would say, like when you go to a lottery and you basically are putting in, you know, $100 or $1, try to win $500 million, the odds and likelihood of you doing it is you probably lose your whole entire life. In fact, most people lose an entire life. And so I would say Bitcoin is above that tier, but definitely below magic. And so, you know, I feel like if I was looking at this investment, the question is, well, do you buy into the lower Bitcoin price? Because it was at 19,000. Now it's at 8,900 at a point. Do you buy into that play? And I thought about this because the real idea here is, do you believe that Bitcoin will go up more? That's all you have to ask yourself. Do you think that in 10 years that your Bitcoin investment will go up higher? Or do you think that your magic $10,000, let's say, investment will go up higher than what you paid? And so you have to look at a period of time, and you can't look at the daily trading part of it, which is hard to do because in the Bitcoin world, cryptocurrency, you have to look at it. It's almost addictive. I don't know if you guys trade and such, but if you look on your phone just for the stocks, it is so addictive to see the ups and downs on just stocks. Look at Bitcoin. It's even more crazy. The swings are so massive. So in the magic world, though, you don't get that kind of action. In fact, it's kind of boring sometimes. And, you know, a lot of people think it's so boring that they've gotten out of Magic and they've put their money into crypto because they think they can swing the fences. But that's the problem, is that I don't believe, this is my opinion, by the way, I don't believe that the long-term stability of crypto is going to survive. In fact, I think a lot of the crypto that you see out there is actually going to go away. It's not going to survive. I also think that Bitcoin will probably survive, and maybe a few others, but they would have to stabilize to a price, and the government will regulate it. And once the regulation is completely done, the way you report your earnings, the way things are done, historically, everything, right? All the, there's always going to be external news, but more regulation to a point where it's stable. Like, if that could happen, then there's an opportunity for it to actively be used as goods. But that's the problem with unknowns, is that when you invest in something, too many unknowns is not worth investing for someone like me. I don't like that, because I don't like the fact that if you don't know, if you don't have a control and grasp of the market, and you're just throwing darts because everybody else is doing it, or maybe because the graph looks great, because maybe the price was at 19,000, now it's 8,900. Well, I mean, it could go double, right? That's not how it goes, because there's so many unknowns. And I think with Magic, there isn't like that kind of unknown. We know the Black Lotus is the king of all the cards. We know the Black Lotus is a reserve list. We know it's Power 9. We know it's super iconic, right? All these things, highly collectible. I mean, the print run is relatively known, right? I mean, from the estimations of what they released back in the day. So you know what you're getting into. Whereas crypto, no, you just really don't. I hope you guys found this. I know the answer to this question, and it's a little bit, all over the place. I try to analyze a little bit of crypto and also some of the Magic side. And I think the answer is pretty obvious for me, though. I look at Magic as long-term. Like, I'm going to pass the things that I've acquired over the years to my family. I made that decision a long time ago. Some of you guys might look at it as, yeah, I'll do the same. Or no, maybe I'll sell it when I retire. But whatever it is, it's not like you're seeing people in the older vintage and old school Magic realm saying, hey, I got to dump my Power 9. I got to dump all my cards because I just think it's going to tank. Or no, I just can't stand this game. People in the older formats really have a deeper passion for the game, and you don't see as much wild rides. Now, obviously, there are people who sell because of personal needs and they regret it and such. But what I've noticed over the years is people that are really dedicated to the game, people that love the game, and even people that are younger coming into the game, they look at the Power 9, they look at all the dual lands, alpha, beta cards, unlimited, it doesn't matter what it is, right? You look at them as iconic treasures, basically historical moments in your time, and that, even if they don't even go up to some of you guys, it actually means a lot to you because you own a piece of history of Magic. All right, guys, put your comments below. Tell me what you guys think. I think the conversation is definitely a very intriguing conversation. I kind of like to do these videos because they really bring up points that are different in the community. I don't like all the, if you're new to this channel, I don't like talking about just the basic stuff all the time. In fact, most of my topics are, all over the map, in terms of investing. But, I try to flavor it more towards higher level approach. I'm not a channel that talks about the crazy gossips and the news out there. To be honest, I find it very boring. And a lot of it is just a lot of hate. So if you're interested in subscribing, I really appreciate it. And if you have a look at the Patreon, it really helps me a lot. The link is below. It really gives back for the channel. I offer discounted booster packs and other deals for patrons. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks again for watching, guys. Hope you guys join me again for another conversation.